Boundaries. Are boundaries important? I would say yes. What are boundaries? A boundary could be a property line. What divides a property? Now, looking at it in the context of marriage, a boundary is a limit set in place to protect your marriage from exploitation, from encroachment, and manipulation. There could be internal and external boundaries. I will marry that as I speak. But I just thinking about it, why boundaries? Why are they important? First, you need to take responsibility for your actions rather than blame your spouse. I am responsible for what I do. Whatever I do is not down to what my husband did. I chose to act like that. Then I need to know what to tolerate and accept, and then to maintain independence. And in saying this, we are not called to be the same. We're called to be one, not the same. So it is not right that you get into marriage and you lose your uniqueness, you lose your individuality. Yes, we should be working towards unity, but you don't lose your individuality. There is a reason God has made you who you are. So you need to celebrate that. You need to bring that into the marriage and maximize, use that for the maximization of that marriage. Now, that's why boundaries are important. What areas do we need to set boundaries? I'll look at a number of areas. The first would be around emotions. Now, talking about emotions, you must be able to control your emotions. You don't go dumping emotions on your spouse. Yes, you dump emotions and you think it's okay to go on with name calling when it's convenient, or you storm out in rage. Oh no, you learn to control your emotions. You learn to process emotions. You know, this would only happen when we get to the point of self-awareness, that I think about it. Now, how do I process my emotions? You articulate, identify, what are you feeling? Is it anger? Is it guilt? Is it disappointment? What exactly are you feeling? Then why do you feel the way you do? What has triggered that feeling? You need to be able to do that. Not until we're able to get to the point of emotional maturity, we will continue to suffer. We will continue to punish the people around us, your husband and children likewise. Now, still talking about your emotions. Sometimes we think it's okay for me to, if I'm emotionally connected to someone, as long as I'm not physically engaged with that person, it's okay. Oh no, right? So this is as bordering on faithfulness. Having those emotional connections with people outside your marriage is not right. Because some people think, yes, the only exclusive thing I share with my husband is sex. I'm not having sex with the other person. But by the time when you get to the point where you start discussing things you don't want your spouse to know about, then you're crossing the line, you're crossing the boundary. Then, still talking about emotions, the unconditional love. You're supposed to love your spouse unconditionally, but that does not mean you accept or tolerate bad behavior. No, you can see that this is leading nowhere. You could end up dead, and you continue to tolerate it. That's not unconditional love. At that point, you don't love yourself. Don't forget that self-love should precede others' love. Self-love should precede others' love. So I should love myself enough. When I love myself enough, love thy neighbor as thyself. I won't be able to love my husband enough if I don't love myself, because I will be giving to him the kind of love I have for myself. So we need to love ourselves. That's dealing with boundaries around emotions. Then how about boundaries around expectations? Because sometimes we don't communicate our expectations. Unexpressed expectations equals unmet expectations. You can't be expecting your spouse to be a mind reader. Oh no, he wouldn't know what's going through your mind at that point. So what are your expectations? You need to discuss your expectations. My expectation is that we articulate how money is disbursed in the marriage. That's one thing. So when those expectations have been discussed and your spouse starts going outside that line, he knows, he is aware. Okay, our expectation as a family is that you don't go borrowing without me knowing, because I will be affected. I could be impacted by your credit worthiness. That's an expectation that has been articulated. So you must discuss those expectations. But then I like to ask, are your expectations realistic? They must be realistic. You have to be real about them. Okay, then boundaries around time. This one is a big thing. Yeah, it's okay for you to explore your hobbies, explore your interests. Yes, there is a richness such separation can bring you to the marriage when you go out and you interact with other people. But then there should be there are boundaries to these things. Sometimes you see husbands who complain. I'm okay. She goes to meet with her friends, but my concern is that the kind of friends she rolls with are not people who she shares the same values with. So I kind of feel like they're corrupting her values. That's something. Okay, still talking about your boundaries around time, church activities. It's a good thing. Some of these things are good. Your involvement in different groups, they are good. But when your spouse starts complaining, you might need to check, am I stepping outside the boundary here? Okay, then very quickly, boundaries are with others. Now, others could be in-laws, could be other friends. Now, it's not okay that your parents or your in-laws speak to you in a derogatory manner before your children or tell you off before your children. That's them crossing a boundary. Okay, and then finally, boundaries around time. Galatians 4 verse 2 would say that I have that he would be under guardians and managers until the time set by the father. It is our responsibility to protect our children. So you can't afford to bring members of the family because, yeah, it's an uncle and your child is complaining. You have to have those boundaries in place. You have to screen the people who you bring into your space.